The time is precisely 1:15 p.m. This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. News edited by Catherine Pereira and read by Chandima Virakon. Headlines. Retail price of 60 medicines will be reduced by 16% with effect from the 15th of this month. 7,500 teacher trainees will be recruited to the service from the 16th of this month. A special parliamentary committee has been appointed to look into the damages caused by MV Express Pearl and MT New Diamond maritime disasters. Supreme Court determines several clauses of proposed anti-corruption bill are inconsistent with the Constitution. It is expected to establish more democratic media freedom that will safeguard the media industry through a new Broadcasting Authority Act. In news overseas, mum pardoned for baby death claims win for science. Local stories in detail. The Cabinet of Ministers has green-lighted the proposal to reduce the maximum retail price of 60 medicines with effect from the 15th of this month, and to review the price of medicines every 3 months. Earlier, in consideration of the depreciation of the Sri Lankan rupee compared to the US dollar, the Ministry of Health had given consent to raise the maximum retail price of medicines up to 97% in several instances. Joining the Cabinet press conference held today, Minister of Health Keheliya Rambukwella stated that as a result of the recent considerable appreciation of the Sri Lankan rupee against the US dollar, the proposal presented by him as the Minister of Health was approved by the Cabinet. Minister Rambukwella also mentioned that preparation of the relevant Gazette notification with regard to the matter is currently underway. Accordingly, the maximum retail price of 60 medicines will be reduced by 16% with effect from the 15th of June. Minister Susil Premajayantha says in Parliament that 7,500 teacher trainees will be recruited to the service from the 16th of this month. Applications have been called for another 26,000 graduates to recruit for the service. Answering to a question raised by the opposition leader, the minister said that another 6,000 graduates are to be recruited to the affiliated subjects on zonal and national level. A committee headed by Minister Vijaydas Rajapaksha has been appointed to expand the higher education opportunities. A psychiatric advisory service will be implemented on behalf of drug addicts. Minister Tiran Alas said that an island-wide program will be conducted to eradicate drugs and underworld gangs with the support of Police Special Task Force and the Army. He said in Parliament that 1,163 firearms have been taken into custody on the raids conducted by the Special Task during the past 3-year period. A special parliamentary committee has been appointed to look into the damages caused by MV Express Pearl and MT New Diamond maritime disasters and to make necessary recommendations. Commencing today's parliamentary session, Speaker Mahinda Abeyewardene said this committee would be chaired by Minister Ramesh Patirana. The Supreme Court has determined that certain clauses of the proposed anti-corruption bill are inconsistent with the Constitution and therefore should be tabled after amendments, Speaker Mahinda Abeyewardene announced to the Parliament this morning. However, these inconsistencies cease if the amendments as set out in the determination of the Supreme Court are made to the bill, the Speaker added. The Solicitor General has informed the Supreme Court that amendments to clauses 8.3, 136, 141, 142 and 156 of the bill as set out in the determination would be made in a bid to address several concerns raised by the petitioners. The Speaker also noted that the determination of the Supreme Court would be printed out in the Hansard report of today's parliamentary proceedings. This news comes to you from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. Continuing with local stories, Minister Bandula Gunawardena says that it is expected to establish more democratic media freedom that will safeguard the media industry through a new broadcasting authority. This has been prepared as a result of long-term discussion. The views of the proposal submitted by various parties will be observed. The Geological Survey and Mines Bureau says that a minor tremor with a magnitude of 2.0 on the Richter scale is reported in Gampola. According to the Bureau, the minor tremor has taken place at around 10:49 p.m. yesterday, with its epicenter in Pupressa. Seismic meters installed in Mahakandarawa, Hakmana, Pallekale and Buddangala have recorded the quake. To end the local news, the headlines again. Retail price of 60 medicines will be reduced by 16% with effect from the 15th of this month. 7,500 teacher trainees will be recruited to the service from the 16th of this month. A special parliamentary committee has been appointed to look into the damages caused by MV Express Pearl and MT New Diamond maritime disasters. Supreme Court determines several clauses of proposed anti-corruption bill are inconsistent with the Constitution. It is expected to establish more democratic media freedom that will safeguard the media industry through a new Broadcasting Authority Act. That ends the local news for now.
The main news story is brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
And on the main news story, the Department of Agriculture has requested the farmers to use MOP variety of fertilizer in order to enhance the nutritional level of the paddy. The sufficient stock of such fertilizer are being stored in government fertilizer companies. But many of the farmers have not obtained the MOP fertilizer properly. Currently, 150 metric tons of fertilizer are being sold daily. The government has taken measures to reduce a bag of fertilizer by 4,500 rupees for this year, Yalla season cultivation. That ends the main news story.
The main news story was brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
Moving on to Watchlight. The examination department requests the candidates appearing for the GCE ordinary level examination to call the hotline 117 if they are facing a disaster situation due to the prevailing rainy weather and in need of assistance. Commissioner General of Examinations Amit Jayasundara informs the exam candidates to pay close attention to disaster situations and take steps to deal with them in advance. This year, according to the Disaster Preparedness Plan prepared to conduct the GCE ordinary level examination without interruption, the Examination Department and the Disaster Management Centre from the regional level to the national level have prepared a coordinated mechanism to avoid the obstacles caused by the disaster situations and implemented in all the districts throughout the island. That ends Watchlight. We take a look at the world news now, the headlines. Mum pardoned for baby deaths claims win for science. Singapore to hold final horse race after more than 180 years. Ex-Vice President Mike Pence joins White House race. An Australian woman convicted of killing her 4 infant children says a decision to pardon her after 20 years is a victory for science and truth. Kathleen Folbig was released from prison yesterday after an inquiry upheld new evidence which cast reasonable doubt on her convictions. Originally accused of smothering her children, the evidence suggested that they died due to a rare genetic abnormality. The 55-year-old said she was humbled and grateful to be free. For the past 20 years, I have been in prison. I have forever and will always think of my children and grieve for my children, she said in a video statement. The more than 180-year-long history of horse racing in Singapore is set to draw to a close. It has been announced that the small Southeast Asian nation's only race course, Singapore Turf Club, will hold its final meeting next year. The country's government will take back the 120-hectare site but has not specified what it will do with it. Queen Elizabeth II, who was an avid race-goer and racehorse breeder, has an event named after her at the course. Her late Majesty presented the inaugural Queen Elizabeth II Cup during a visit to Singapore in 1972. She attended the feature race a second time in 2006. Former U.S. Vice President Mike Pence has officially filed paperwork to join an increasingly crowded field of Republicans running for president. Mr. Pence, 63, is set to formally launch his campaign with a video, speech and town hall event in the early voting state in Iowa on Wednesday. The move pits him against Donald Trump, the man he served in the White House for 4 years from 2017 to 2021. The former president is currently polling well ahead in the race. Most opinion polls show Mr. Pence in a distant third place, with support in the low single digits. To conclude the world news, the headlines again. Mum pardoned for baby deaths, claims win for science. Singapore to hold final horse race after more than 180 years. Ex-Vice President Mike Pence joins White House race. That ends the world news.
Development News is brought to you by
Vacancies for women from Deshakti Lanka for housemaids in Kuwait, Oman and Saudi Arabia for ages 23 to 58 years. Contact number 037 7500 500.
Moving on to the development news. The Railway Department says that the 90% of the construction work between the Anuradhapura to Vavuniya Northern Railway line have been completed. General Manager of Railway N.K. Idiyapolage said that the train operation between Colombo to Jaffna will begin within 1 month. That ends development news.
Vacancies for women from Deshakti Lanka for housekeepers, home cooks, caretakers and home nurses in Kuwait, Oman, Saudi Arabia and Singapore for ages 23 to 57 years. Salaries starting from 156,000 rupees. Interviews with foreign agents are now on. Come whether you have a passport or not. Branches, Colombo, Kurunagala, Anuradhapura and Matara. Contact number 037 7500 500.
Moving on to sports news, the Carom competitions of the 47th National Sports Festival will be conducted at the indoor playground in Torrington today. Teams will participate for the competitions representing all provinces. The competition will end tomorrow. That ends the sports news.
Go ekakthiyana youth eකට life එකේ change එකට නියමෙට set වෙන්න ඇස් වහගෙන දැකපු ගීත හැබැ කරන්න youth එකට නියමෙට set වෙන friendship එක මෙන්න.
The all new NSB Ithru account NSB IAM, a plan for your dream.
Business News sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
UL Consultants Limited, ULC, a leading consultancy firm in the United Kingdom and in Sri Lanka, is proud to announce the celebration of its 10-year partnership with the University of the West of England, UWE, Bristol. Chairman of the ULC, Mr. Upullenage, said that this milestone marks a decade of collaboration between UL Consultants and UWE Bristol, a leading university in the UK, in providing quality education and professional development opportunities to students. That ends Business News.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
Go ekakthiyana youth එකට life එකේ change එකට නියමෙට set වෙන්න ඇස් වහගෙන දැකපු ගීත හැබැ කරන්න youth එකට නියමෙට set වෙන friendship එක මෙන්න.
The all new NSB Ithru account NSB IAM, a plan for your dream.
On to the economic news. Treasury bills worth over 140 million rupees will be issued. The relevant auction will be held tomorrow. These bills will expire on 91, 182 and 364 days. The central bank said that these bills can be purchased from primary dealers and from licensed commercial banks. That ends the economic news. On to the weather report. Showers or thunder showers will occur at times in western and Sabaragamu provinces and in Galle and Mathura districts. Fairly heavy showers, about 100 millimeters, are likely at some places in the Sabaragamu province and in Galle, Mathura and Kalutara districts. Several spells of showers will occur in the northwestern province. Showers or thunder showers will occur at several places in Uva and central provinces and in Ampara and Batticaloa districts during the evening or at night. Strong winds, about 40 to 45 kilometers per hour, can be expected at times in northern and north-central provinces and in Hambantota, Puttalam and Trincomalee districts. That ends the weather report. And to conclude this bulletin of news, the headlines again. Retail price of 60 medicines will be reduced by 16% with effect from 15th of this month. 7,500 teacher trainees will be recruited to the service from the 16th of this month. A special parliamentary committee has been appointed to look into the damages caused by MVX Pressed Pearl and MT New Diamond maritime disasters. Supreme Court determines several clauses of proposed anti-corruption bill are inconsistent with the Constitution. It is expected to establish more democratic media freedom that will safeguard the media industry through a new Broadcasting Authority Act. And in news overseas, mom pardon for baby deaths, claims win for science. With that, we conclude this bulletin of news from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation.